You know, we're in this massive global race to build artificial general intelligence. But what if we're all sprinting towards a finish line that's in completely the wrong place? Today, we're diving into a really fascinating and honestly pretty provocative take that argues we might be flattering ourselves just a little too much.
So, let's just cut right to the chase here. Billions and billions of dollars are being poured into creating an intelligence that's just like ours. But the big question is, are we even aiming at the right target? And this quote, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It gets right to the core of the whole argument. Maybe this entire chase for AGI is just one giant ego trip. We've made ourselves the benchmark, the gold standard. But what if we're not nearly as great as we think we are? All right, so let's unpack this idea. We love to think of ourselves as the Swiss Army knives of the universe, good at everything. But is that actually true?
Because when you really honestly look at our limitations, that whole generalist idea starts to look pretty shaky. First off, we're biological divas. We need this super specific cocktail of air and temperature just to function. Our data transfer rate, talking, is a laughable 150 words per minute. And our logic, oh boy, it's so easily hijacked by everything from our horoscope to a really convincing pitch for an extended warranty.
So this leads to a whole new way of looking at ourselves. Forget general intelligence. A much more accurate name might just be specialized protein intelligence, or SPI. We're not generalists. We're hyper-specialized survival machines, finely tuned for spotting patterns, navigating social drama, and, let's be honest, panicking. A lot.
And that, of course, brings us to the elephant in the room, large language models. Right now, they're the talk of the town. Everyone thinks they're the one-way ticket to AGI. But this argument says, no, actually, they're a huge distraction from what we should really be focusing on.
Think about it. An LLM is basically a brain in a jar. It's this incredible disembodied librarian that's read every book ever written but has never, not once, felt the sun on its face or stubbed its toe on a coffee table. It kind of thinks like us, for sure. It even hallucinates and has that weird, unearned confidence. But that's exactly the problem.
Which brings us to the single most important point of this whole idea. True general intelligence isn't just about thinking or processing information. It's about agency. It's the ability to actually do things in the physical world.
So this is where the whole thing pivots to a new concept, robotic general intelligence, or RGI. The claim is that this is what AGI should be. Not a chatbot, but a robot. Something with hands.
And this right here, illustrates the difference perfectly. Look, we don't need another AI that can tell us the chemical composition of cotton. What we really need is something that can solve the impossible, chaotic, maddening, real-world problem of folding a fitted sheet. Now that would be a true sign of general competence.
Let's just do a little side-by-side on the hardware specs, shall we? Our architecture, it's described as squishy and carbon-based. Our power supply, tacos and kale. It's delicate. And our uptime is terrible. We need a full 7 to 9 hour system reboot every single night. And our GI, though, it's rigid silicon and metal, runs on high-density batteries, and is built for almost 24/7 operation. No contest.
The software comparison is, frankly, even more brutal. Our memory is incredibly lossy. We forget why we walked into a room half the time. And RGI has perfect bit-for-bit recall. Physically, we're prone to back pain and whining about moving a couch. And RGI can lift 500 kilograms without even asking for a union break. And the known bugs? Well, ours include things like existential dread and a fragile ego. And RGI's biggest flaw is just that it takes our commands a little too literally. I'd take that trait.
Okay, so if the classic Turing test, just having a nice chat, is a totally flawed way to measure general intelligence, what should we be using instead? What's the real test?
Well, here's a proposal for a new, much more practical exam. Can a machine handle the chaos of a sink full of greasy dishes? Can it navigate a slippery, wet floor? Can it, and this is the final boss, organize a teenager's bedroom? Can it vacuum a room without eating a stray sock? That is a real test of intelligence.
And at the end of the day, the goal here isn't to get another digital co-pilot to help us write emails faster. The real dream, the real promise of AGI should be to create a complete replacement for all the dangerous, the boring, the repetitive physical work, the drudgery, that we as specialized protein intelligences are just so bad.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? Well, it's really a call to just check our collective ego at the door. It's time to shift our entire perspective on what intelligence even is.
We need to stop obsessing over building these perfect digital copies of our own flawed, squishy brains. The one thing we truly lack, the one thing that would genuinely change the world for the better, isn't another digital poet or philosopher. It's infinite, tireless, physical competence.
And really, that just says it all, doesn't it? Maybe our greatest contribution to the future is to lean into what we're actually good at. All the messy, creative, emotional stuff. The dreaming, the loving, the suffering. And let's build the machines to finally, reliably, and perfectly handle the laundry.